Welcome everyone to Elevate with V. So excited to be here. So this podcast, as you have all heard in the introduction, is really inspired by my own journey and as a way to express gratitude to those beautiful souls that have helped me navigate during some of the most challenging times. And I would love to share who they are and their amazing gifts with all of you. So I can't wait to introduce my guest today, Sheri Collins. Let me share a little bit about who she is. She is an intuitive development life coach. She's a psychic medium and teacher of many modalities to help heal the body, mind, and soul. Her work mixes together a variety of different modalities to create something totally unique and powerful. She's a certified quantum healer teacher. She's a psychic surgeon, NLP coach. She does Akashic healing. She's a trance healer, Scalar Waves Facilitator, and a development magnetic coach. And she is very passionate about helping people achieve their highest potential. Welcome, Sheri.
Hello.
Yay!
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited. So I wanted to share really quickly my connection to Sheri. So I found Sheri, I think on a Facebook Live in like late 2020 and was immediately drawn to her personality and was so intrigued by her skills and abilities. I'm like, what is she doing? This is super cool. And pretty soon after that, I ended up taking her quantum healing class, followed by a few other classes and workshops. And some of the things that I love about you, Sheri, are that she totally stands in her power. You're unapologetically authentic, a total boss, great energy, never stop learning and investing in yourself, which is one of my favorite things about you. And obviously you are so incredibly gifted, as people have heard. Just so everyone knows, all of this information will be in the description because it is a lot of stuff. So we'll make sure that you have all of that. And also wanted to say that she's not only super gifted, but she's also incredibly generous with her offerings, and her passion for helping people achieve their highest potential, for me, always shines through. So with all of that being said, welcome again, Sheri.
Hi, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. So, as you know, the show is highlighting healing journeys and how we've navigated through all these different storms to get to our silver linings. So I'm going to take you back a little bit because you're obviously much further along in your journey, but I wanted to kind of take you back to what event or events led you into stepping into your healing journey, if you would like to share with us a little bit.
Absolutely. So it started for me back in 2019, and I had a girlfriend who was actually my psychic. And she kept saying, you need to go take this Reiki stuff. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. I have no idea what you're talking about. But she had brought it up a couple of times. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll go find that one person. And, I had reached out to a girlfriend and I asked her how much her stuff was. And she was like, it's like $300. And I went, no. Like, I didn't know how much any of this stuff was supposed to cost back then. And so then I ended up calling this one place and they said they were booked and it was $50 to take Reiki. And I'm like, okay, universe, if I'm supposed to be there, like, I like that price. I don't care how far the drive is. And she called me the next day and said, I have a spot for you. Someone bailed. So
Wow.
that was kind of my first step in. For me, like, not understanding any of this stuff when I first started, like, I had been on a year-long journey prior to that, just kind of purging out what I needed to let go of. My marriage kind of dissolved and I took my kids and I started a new life for ourselves. And stepping in that first moment to be taught that, it was kind of like I already knew what I was doing. So it was a very interesting experience. And then during that class, getting attuned and all this stuff, and all of a sudden seeing people in my mind's eye and being able to understand the whole body system like that quick. And I was just like, I already know how to do this. And that was, I think, the first moment for me. It was like, this is kind of easy.
Wow, that's incredible. So let me ask you, I'm going to take you just a little bit back again, where you said that obviously you went through like some very traumatic life experience, right? And then something in that journey said, Sheri, you got to pick yourself back up. And then what does that look like? So share a little bit about that, which is kind of one more step behind before you even jumped into all of this sort of Reiki. It's like, what was that? And, that part of the journey.
Yeah. So for me, I wanted to change. And the first thing was letting go of my marriage. It wasn't where I wanted to be. I felt disconnected from my life and from my body. It was a weird experience. But I think for me, that year that I took prior to coming out as the psychic medium and healer, for me it was truly about transforming my life. I didn't like where I was. I didn't like certain like money aspects of my life. I didn't like being alone. I didn't like the fact that I had all these open wounds from childhood to, leaving my marriage. So for me, when that was the first step, I needed to learn how to meditate. I needed to learn how to take care of my body and my children on my own. I needed to learn what was important to me. And I think for me, that is the biggest thing for anybody who decides to, do an abrupt change of your life, because that's what I did. And I think for me, understanding that one, I could do it 100%, I could do it. And that just asking the universe to help was huge for me. There was things that I truly remember sitting in a meditation for 6 hours and my kids are like, well, where did you go? I'm like, I was literally in the backyard. Like I didn't go anywhere. You guys didn't even realize that I wasn't in the house. And they're like, well, where were you? And I'm like, right there. But it was kind of like that undisturbed moment where it's like, here, I'm going to surrender this back and I forgive this and I let go of this. And it just no longer became a heavy burden. Like my life prior was truly let go. And I think for me, that was my catalyst of change, was that I could do it. And there was nothing stopping me. It was my mindset that held me back the whole time. The fact that, we're trained so many negative belief systems around money. You can't have any. It's everybody else. It's evil. You can't do this and you can't do that. When you start to unlock some of those things and aspects about yourself, you learn a lot about who you are. And that was my growth. That whole year that I took to find me instead of being the shell of myself, that was huge. That was my biggest, that was a really big accomplishment.
Wow. So Sheri, was this all very self-guided? Were you looking externally for like, what are some things I should do? Did you just innately know that I should meditate, I should do XYZ, or did you have some resources or something to sort of say, where can I how do I do this?
Honestly, I would just put it out there. I'm like, okay, I got to learn how to do this. I didn't even know what meditation was. I would just sit there for 5 minutes, or I would turn on something on YouTube as a meditation. And I would just kind of walk through them. And then I'd be like, well, that was okay, but I didn't get anything out of it. And so then I would keep searching for those things. So like building on my intuition, building on my clairs, just with meditations. And then all of a sudden it was kind of like, all those components of releasing and then bringing the new aspects in, like learning how to manifest money, learning that I could change my life with just affirmations. Like some of those things are really big and they still stick with me today. I have them like all over my walls and everywhere. So it's learning the components that everyone's different. My journey is not going to be the same as your journey.
Right.
But I think the biggest thing that I've learned through this with coaching people and helping them on their journey is that by me doing myself first and then coming out into this, I kind of avoided a lot of like what a lot of people struggle with. And I haven't really had to do that. So learning to navigate in the now with the company that I've built, it actually becomes fluid. Like everything is a fluid motion. The universe guides you. And if it's like, okay, hold on a second, here's one step. It's like, I can go back to that pre-journey and go, I went through this then because of this. And now I'm going through this now because of this. Here's how we move it up and get it out so we can keep on that journey. So I think as we do the inner soul searching and the inner work, and it's okay to ask for help for that, we learn to navigate it much quicker. And I will just say, like, had I known what a coach was back then, oh my gosh, I would have signed up for one. I had no idea what a coach was until someone asked me to be their coach. And I'm just like, what am I doing? And I didn't. Did you need a certification for that? I don't know. But all of a sudden it was like, everybody wanted to coach with me because they're like, you're good. You know what you're doing. You have this intuitional sense and da, 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 da. And all of a sudden it was like, everybody wanted that. Everybody wanted the reading, because when you work on yourself,
yes,
it shows the lightness. It shows how you've let go of the past and then you let go of judgment.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I don't judge myself. Do I make mistakes? Yes, we all make mistakes as we navigate this. No one's perfect. I'd like to say that I'd like to be perfect, but I know that I am the leader of my life. So I know that if there's something that creates a hiccup, it's me. It's nobody else. Nobody else did it to me. But I know that there's my work that I need to do. I bring it up, I analyze it, hold it, and move it out.
That's beautiful. And, and I think it's also a process, like you said, right? It's taken some time to get to this place. So, I think like someone like me who like, I started my journey in like March of 2020, literally when the pandemic happened. So, first of all, being completely isolated, not having really anybody to talk to, it was just such a different experience. And so, when I look back, I know for me, one of the big things was obviously I was getting guidance. I just didn't know exactly where it was all coming from, right? So I hadn't put those pieces together. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, which I know for you is a, huge strength, is about trusting. Because I know for me, that's still something a work in progress for me, like trusting. And so it would be wonderful to kind of hear from you, especially people who are kind of more in the beginning parts of their journey, or maybe more in the middle parts of their journey. Like, how do you start to build some of those practices?
Yeah. So for me, it was literally taking it into my own hands, right? So we've all heard of God, source, universe. You can
Yes.
call it whatever you want, but for me, it was, how do I get my proof that I need? Right. So I would literally, I would take a training course or be in a class, and I'd be like, I need to understand this on a different level. So I would really just ask those questions outward and wait for the answer to come, not chase it, not, okay, I need the answer now, right? Being impatient. It was really about learning that lesson in patience to get that answer. But what I found the most was it was easy enough to, once you could ask for the signs to come back that were faster, it's kind of like now you're starting to trust that intuition and trust that gut. And once you trust, it's the surrender piece, right? We are in the lead. We're not in control. So move that word out of your vocabulary. You are never in control of anything. The more you try, the harder it is. So when we surrender and just allow things to come in, you can have whatever you want. And if I based my life on that, if I surrender and let source show me, everything lines up. And I can tell you literally, like, they've never failed you from the day you were born. The day you were conceived, they've never failed you. I can literally go back in my life think of moments where it's like brand new job, not enough money coming in, just started and I need rent money. All of a sudden you win the New Year's Eve prize that gives you your last month's rent. So they're always there. They always have been. But now, because we're adults and we've lost that childhood, let's giggle and laugh and have fun. Now it becomes serious. Okay, I need this and I need this. And we get stressed. Yes. So I think to trust it, play with it, right? I used to drive, coming home and I'd be like, which lane do I need to be in? And I would just trust that first, literally within 2 seconds, the answer. And whatever lane I was guided to go in was the lane that got the right of way. Whether that's the left turn, it took the same amount of time to get home. I just didn't want to wait. So I would trust it. And every time I would get the advanced green because I trusted what was said or knowing, right? Yeah. So I think for me, it is easy to trust when you understand what the signs are you need, right? Because there's so many signs. You can ask for money, feathers, you can ask for number sequences, right? So use it to your advantage to get those answers. And for me, I know that, like, I really truly, because I've done this for so long now, I trust everything. If something shows up in my awareness and it sucked and it's like, shit, I need to make amends, I go make amends. Yeah. Right. Because I need to learn that lesson from it. And then whatever happens from that moment forward, it's divinely guided. So
yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah. I mean, I think for me, I've been now 2 years in the journey and I still am working on the trust piece, but I know that I've become so much more comfortable with it. There's something that you mentioned, which I feel like maybe there might be a lot of listeners who don't know a lot about, which is, you said the clairs, which is a great way, like you said, to receive messages. And all of us have maybe different ones that are stronger. So would you be willing to just share really quickly, like what those are?
Yeah. So probably not all of them. I'll go through the main ones that people would know. So clairvoyance is your clear seeing, right? That's where you can see those clear images. So if I showed you a pen, you can see this in your mind's eye as you close your eyes, or you can see it with your eyes open, even though it's not there, right? I see it. Then you have claircognizance, which is your clear knowing. It's like, you just know that answer and you know it every time. You can answer people's sentences, or you know what they're thinking before they say it. That's a knowing.
Yes.
Then you've got the clear audience where you hear things, right? So for me, when I teach my Claire's class, I can hear it, or I can use telepathy, which is in the internal thinking. You've got gusto, which is your taste. So you can taste a menu before you go to the restaurant. So if it tastes really bad, you don't have to eat there and spend your money. Right.
Yes.
So, and what else? There's just so many.
Yes.
Like,
Okay. Yeah, but those are some of the core ones. The reason I wanted to bring it up is because I know that when I was starting, I would always hear this, which was really interesting. They're like, I can't see anything. I can't see anything. And it's like, don't get stuck just because there's one, there's so many others. So just find the one that's yours or stronger for you, because all of us have them, right? It's just a question of what's maybe kind of more opened up and we're aware of. So, you know, for me, I knew that I would see things, but it took me some time to understand. I was actually hearing things before I actually saw things. And I always thought that my seeing was stronger. So I think it's really kind of fun to just, like you said, you know, everything is so individual that, you know, you really don't worry what Sheri's thing is or what Vanita's thing is. It's like, what's your thing? And just focus on that. And as you focus on that, then the other pieces also start to come together. So that's great. Because I just wanted to share that, because I think there are a lot of people who are like, well, what is that again? What were the clairs?
Once you find one, you can open up the rest of them. So there is that potential, you know, and then you can use it to your advantage. Like you can see things before they happen, or, you know, you can do like evidential mediumship, and like, there's just so many possibilities once you do open it.
Yes, I love that. So I know we're kind of jumping back to kind of when you were starting and talking about Reiki. So was that like the first kind of healing modality that you stepped into? And then what did that kind of create for you, and what that take you into the next step into your journey?
Yeah. So I started off at Reiki 1. That was a very interesting understanding of how the guides kind of worked with me to do the healing stuff. And like, I sense, I know just so much about people, but I'll share actually my first experience doing a healing. A lady, she had a blood disorder and she didn't tell me. So I almost threw up on her twice while I was in the middle of the session. I'm like, ooh, I think I need to change a little portion of this so that I'm kind of knowing a little bit of what's going on in you before I start, so that I don't get that. And then that helped me to really navigate into a lot of things. But for me, then I just went to Reiki level 2, and then I went into Akashic records. Once I understood the Akashic, which, you know, it took me less than 12 hours to like learn it and then start charging for readings, because it just was so easy to understand. But then the interesting thing is, once you start to tap into your intuition and that knowingness and listening and hearing and just paying attention, your guides will deliver so much more information. So, you know, when I learned Akashic, then I learned the transformation process and the healing process. I was like, nobody else is really teaching this in this way. It's really easy, really super simple. But I think for me, understanding that I could change my past to reflect into my now and literally transform my whole life. I don't have a lot of karmic energy that comes from my past, because it's clean. But I want to share this though. When you understand, or maybe you question who you truly are, why do you behave a certain way?
Right.
That holds a lot of answers for a lot of people. For me, I always wondered why I had to be first. I have to be the leader. I learn extremely fast. And by having access into my Akashic and being able to heal things and change things, brought a lot of peace and understanding as to who I was in this life. So I still use it to my advantage. I still clear it out. I still manifest through there. And there's a lot of other things I do through there now that I've learned so many things, but nothing is limited, right? So from there, I went into quantum level 1, and then my guides gave me like so much more information. So I just started building course after course. So the psychic surgery came in when I was hosting a healing group with Source. I had 27 practitioners who were working with me on a weekly basis to bring in free healing sessions for practice. So literally I've done like thousands of healings on people. But I learned a lot of psychic surgery. I learned a lot about the body system. Now, do I need to know the names of everything? We don't. The guides will show you everything you need to know. But I think for me, opening up that mediumship with that as well has really transformed my life, because I can tap into the smallest thing in the body and heal it, or help people heal it where they feel no pain. And I think that's a huge gift.
Yes.
And then for me, it's sharing that with helping other people to know that you can do this too. Anybody can do it. Right. And that you don't have to sit on the sidelines and let somebody somebody else do it for you. You really can step in and do this for yourself.
That's beautiful. And, I mean, I think the thing is, it takes, like, even for me, it's a process to like get that place where you're like, okay, there's so much more. There's so many more doors that are opening. I wanted to come back a little bit because people might not actually even know what Reiki is, what Akashic records are. So it's like, what is Reiki? People are like, I don't know what that is. What is that?
Yeah. So Reiki is an energy healing modality. It was brought back from, I believe it's the 1800s. A gentleman was gifted the symbols for Reiki, and another person was gifted the understanding of it. So, and then they just brought it forward. There's like an association and stuff. But really what it is, it allows the channel of light from the universe to come through you and out into your hands. Quantum is similar, except we don't run the energy through us. It's just there. And for my own personal practice with my students and teaching, sometimes that's a little bit easier to not take on so many people's energy at the end. So, you can step into whatever. Reiki is very simple to learn. Quantum is very simple to learn. For me, quantum is more. It's more expansive. It's higher energy, faster healing, but very much similar to Reiki, depending on what you want with it. But there's a lot of modalities like Karana Reiki. There's fire Reiki. Like, they're all pretty much the same. It just depends on what you're drawn to. The Akashic records are your past, your present, your future, but it's all information of every lifetime you've ever lived here on earth. So you can access anything really. And how it works is it's the 8th dimensional plane, but it's also, here's a really quick understanding of what it is. Anything that you have not healed from a past is going to show up in this lifetime. So let's just say that you have an issue with money. You learned from your parents at a very early age that, when you get it, you either have to hold it and save it, or it's a sieve. You get paid and it comes right out that sieve at the end. And it's like, oh, well, that's gone, whether you like to spend it or whatever. So these are patterns that you've actually accumulated from your past. And we call them karmic energy because they're coming in this life to show you what's not healed. Yes. So, and this is only one way to explain it. There's many different ways, but as soon as you go back there and heal that, it's done here. Right. So that's the nice thing about it is, when I was younger, I always thought we were poor, right? We lived in rundown apartments. We had cockroaches, we had to count change to go buy things. That was my perception as a child. Right. When we were a child, everything looks so ginormous in front of us. Right. But what I understood of it now is that when we weren't poor, we had a house, we had a home, we had a roof, we had food. You know what the great part of it was? I learned how to do math at a very young age to go buy that cereal. Right. So the benefits and the learning experience, but then I went back and transformed it to, this is actually fun and this is joyous. Right. So now that that's no longer in my thing, it's kind of like, I can enjoy that I'm abundant and prosperous and wealthy, and that everything I put my fingertips on to do and create yields exponential. Right. So it's understanding how all these things can heal. We can also do future work. You can step into your future and say, okay, I want this timeline of wealth and prosperity. So I'm going to bring this to me. Thank you, universe. Right. So it is unlimited of what we can do.
That's beautiful. Wow. I think people are going to be blown away with how much information is in this session. They're probably going to need to listen to this a couple of times to be like, okay, what were all of those things? So in your sort of like, experience for someone, say like me, who's, kind of more early on in their journey and, decides, okay, this is really interesting. I'm working on myself. I'm trying to heal. I'm trying to grow. And does it matter what modality you choose or you start with? Is it just based on like what you feel drawn to? What is your suggestion?
So what I learned at a very early stage is I give myself the 3-day rule because, there's like a ton of stuff out there that you can dive into and it can get costly or, maybe you don't get out of it what your intentions are to get out of it.
Yes.
So I give myself the 3-day rule. I'll see something. I'm like, ooh, this looks really interesting. I'll go read it a couple of times and then I'll leave it and I'll come back. Okay. So by the 3rd day, I'm like, universe, if this is supposed to be mine, please provide the money and show me a number. Right? Show me that number sequence so that I know that this is supposed to be mine. So I'm setting all of my intentions for all of that to line up for me to take it. If by the 3rd day, I am not sitting there with my credit card to pay, I already know that it's not mine. Maybe not in that moment.
Right.
Maybe a couple of years later, it will come back down the line. I'll be like, here, right? And it's true. Like I purchased a yoga thing. They had a really great deal on it. It's a year program. I did like the first day and I was like, I'm good. But now the great thing is it's paid for, so I can go back and do it whenever I want. But now I'm being called to actually go back. So we buy a lot of things on impulse, right?
Yes.
Whereas when you get that ignite that, oh my gosh, I need to dive into this. Like I knew as soon as Akashic, I'm like, I need to do that. Like 100%. That is calling my name. I purchased it. Within 12 hours, I was doing readings for people for money. So
yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of know you have this beacon of instinct inside of you that says, yes, yes, yes. Right. But I will suggest this too.
Yes.
Don't just buy one thing at a time, finish it and complete it, then do the next one. Right. Because what's the point in having 20 things on the go if you're not going to do any of them? Right. So you use your discretion. Right.
Yeah. I'm guilty of that. I mean, I get all excited and I'd buy stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And the course is still sitting there. I'm like, I know I have it and I can do it, when I want. But then one of the things I also like is if it felt right and buying it at that moment, maybe I wasn't supposed to necessarily do it, but it's okay to have it because when the time is right, I have it to go back to kind of how you were sharing with like the yoga example, so I do love that too, which, back in the day when we didn't have these sort of facilities of being able to record and you can download, it was just you make the class or it's gone. Yeah. And, things have changed so much now. It's really nice to be able to say, wow, I have access to this and I can just go back and revisit things, right? Because it's almost sort of what I noticed was I would do something and then as I'm healing in my journey, and then I go back and I revisit it, you're almost kind of seeing it with new eyes because you've kind of progressed in your journey. So now you're getting different insights from that same material. So that's one of the things that I really enjoy the most about some of these things is, there's always space to like grow and learn. And it's really nice to kind of just sort of see your own progress, right? To say, oh, wow, this is where I was like last year. Look where I am today. And then you just kind of like move forward. So I was going to ask you, because I mean, seriously, your resume or whatever you want to call it is so chock full of so many things. That's why I was reading. I was like, I'm just going to let people know that all of this is in the description because you're not going to remember all the things that she does. So I was going to ask you, out of all of these different things that you do and you're constantly learning and adding things, do you have like, could you even pick one or two of your like favorite, like you're like, oh my God, these are like my two favorite things? Or is that like someone saying, what's your favorite child?
You know what? I'll say this. I do love everything that I do. I love everything that I've learned and taken on and built for myself. But every component of your clairs is in all of them. So it's kind of like you are incorporating all of you and all what you know into everything. Yeah. I think it just depends on the deliverance of which one. So someone may need the healing. Does that mean I only do the quantum healing? No, if I need to go into the Akashic, I'll just go there. I already have their permission to be there. So I think the nice thing about what I do is everything is versatile. If you need it to turn into a coaching session, then we're there. If you need this to be Akashic. So do I have a favorite? I think it's all one favorite thing.
I love that.
I don't, to pinpoint it is kind of like, because there's certain aspects that are interesting and fun in all of them. Like, in certain aspects, you can go in and do surgery on someone to repair like a heart murmur, and then the heart murmur stops and they're just like, holy, like people who have blood pressure issues, 2 seconds and it's done. It's already back on track. So to narrow it down and say just one, I don't know if I could.
I knew I was good. I know it was sort of like a trick question. I'm like, is she going to be able to choose one? She's not going to be able to choose. But what I love what you're sharing is kind of how I look at our journeys, right, Sheri, where nothing is ever wasted and everything is like a tool in the toolbox. And when you have all the tools, you never know which one you're going to need, but it's there, right? So kind of like you said, it's so individualized that, you could be working with me and you're like, oh, I'm coming to do like a quantum healing. And then you're like, you know what? I think she needs this, or this might be helpful. You're just pulling from all of these different things to create that sort of how you had said, that unique experience for each person, to sort of help them in, whichever way that you can. So I love that. I think that's lovely.
Remember too, that you don't have to go take a modality. Your guides will, if you tap into that meditation sense, or, you can do a walking meditation, whatever it is for your way to get the information, you can build something off of that too. You don't have to go and take a course if you don't want to. 100% you don't. I think people tap into courses because it gives us the knowledge of what they know, and it's easier, right? It took me a year to bring in quantum 1, 2, 3, a whole year. I had to study in order to bring this forward, because I need to know every component inside and out. I can't just become the teacher and be like, here, this is yours. Well, if your student screws up, how are you going to help them get out of it? Right. So for me and my guides, we work through a lot of this stuff where it's like, okay, they do this or this happens. How do I fix it or help them fix it? So for me, that whole year in studying with my guides, with the healing group really was a benefit.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter what the problem is now. It's like, here, do this, fix this, move this, shift this, and they're done. Right. So it is truly helpful to go on that journey of understanding the full aspect of everything that you're diving into, because everything shows you the right path.
Yes, I love what you're sharing. And I think I'll be honest, just from my own experience, I think a lot of reasons when you're in your starting part of your journey and you don't have the confidence, you are looking externally, right? Because you're still building your internal system of like, do I trust myself? Do I believe? And, whatever, even if you have some gifts, I think people are like, I don't know what that is. I have no clue. So you're looking externally to say, okay, who knows something more than I do? And it's like for me, it was like a confidence builder. So it's sort of like we have a lot of this stuff already in us, but it's like I needed that assurance, that external, okay, let me go to someone like you. I'm like, okay, let me learn from Sheri what quantum is, and then start to build with that. So I think for those of us that are early in our journey, there is something about that's why we want to take these classes, because it just helps us feel like, okay, I'm learning. And then as you're doing it, other gifts come in. So for example, when I first started, I was very nervous when I learned, quantum. I was like, oh my God, I don't know. Like, am I doing this wrong? Is it working? And it's interesting now that when I use it, because I've picked up or have other things innately in me, I'm able to bring those things in, because I looked at it like, I have to do quantum this way. And that's not it. Like you said, it's about like, as you're building, you can pull in more things and kind of make it your own for what it is. And so that's what I love, that it's like, it's not necessarily set. Like you can you have the foundation, but you get to fill in what other things you want. So I love this, that we can share this with others to say, you don't even have to take classes. If you already feel like there are certain gifts that you're sort of somewhat aware of, go find someone who can help you develop those a little bit more. And then when you have the confidence, maybe you just need one class and then you're like, boom, I'm ready to go. I think there's so many options and so many different ways that people can, navigate and kind of explore all the beauty of all the gifts that they already have. And then to be able to sort of share them with others like you do. And, I think for me, this is part of, what I'm supposed to do as part of my healing, both for myself and for others. So for everyone, it's going to be different. And I think one of the things that I love about, how you do things is you always bring joy into everything, that it's like, whatever we're doing, you're always like, high energy and you're like excited, like, and I think that excites people, right? When you're so excited, I'm like, well, what is that? Well, I want to learn more about that. Or what is she doing? Okay, that sounds really cool, so I love that part also. So we're coming to the part where I was going to be like, Sheri, let's do something fun where people can kind of get a sense of one of your, like, can't even number how many gifts you have, but it's like something that we could share that would be kind of a collective message or something where we can sort of see what Sheri does live.
Yeah. So let's pull a couple tarots. So I do pull tarot for some people. I do channeled messages as well. So we'll just add a little bit of that in for everybody. Can also add a little bit of energy healing with this as well.
Okay. Love it.
Yeah. So lots of good messages. So we've got a lot of knowledge and wisdom that's coming in for everybody in the collective. So if you feel like you don't have any gifts or you haven't, opened up to them yet, just know that they are coming for everybody. Nobody will be left with nothing. But it is partly up to us to want to start that. We have to start to see what is in our field of reality that we agree with and what we don't agree with. And that's your kind of awakening process. Everybody goes through an ascension process and an awakening process. Mind you, sometimes it sucks, but we have to go through it because we've lost that all from the day we're born. But the next two cards are very much like we are stepping into gifts, talents, but we're also starting new chapters, right? So maybe you're in a corporate job, or maybe you're in a job that really doesn't resonate anymore. You're going to find it's easier to leave now because that next door is always opening for something else. And it becomes really easy to set that thought to the new intention of what you want coming forward, right? This gentleman's holding the sword. So you're the one who has to take command of it. You're taking the lead of your life in every aspect. Don't let anybody else try to control that either, right? So all of these cards only have one in it. The one is you, right? So nothing can take you off that course unless you decide to let it. So even in your life right now, if you're thinking, okay, well, this sucks, this avenue that I'm in sucks right now, just stop yourself in that pattern and just say, okay, what can I do to make a change or make a shift right now that would help me? So I am affirmations are really great. Make them nice and chunky and beefy. Like, I am grateful and thankful for. What is it you're grateful for? And then add some more to it. Oh, that the abundant universe sees me and that I'm the beacon of light, and they're going to share all the wealth and prosperity with me so that I can help others. So by stepping into these calibrations of what you want, you're going to see things start to change in your reality. And then we've got completion in a lot of things as well, right? There's a lot of celebration that's going to happen. Now that can happen every day for everyone, or we can choose to sit in doom and gloom about certain things that are transpiring on the exterior and keep listening to that and then be in that doom and gloom all the time. It's harder to get out of that if you keep adapting into it. So I think just put your head on your shoulders and just know that you can do it. If you need to go within, all the answers that you seek are in there. I can guarantee you 150 million%. God did not send you here with no system at all. He sent you here with this, which is attached to that. We are all one. There is zero separation between any one of us. Nobody is better than you. No one is smarter than you. Just everybody is in a different point in their life where they've opened up to whatever they need. So maybe at this moment, you listening to this is what you need to hear to start this journey for you. And just know that you're not alone. There's so many people out there who want to help. I find too, like even with my TikTok stuff, as soon as I say that I will accept you into my tribe, it doesn't matter who you are, what color of your skin, we will accept everybody. You want to fill out that application that says I'm in, we'll take you, because there is no separation. I love everyone. So if anyone has ever made you feel like you don't belong and you don't fit in, come see me. Like my tribe will take you anytime because we love everyone.
Yes, such beautiful messages. And I just love that it truly is timeless, because anytime someone listens to this, it's so empowering. And, I love what you shared too about, just inviting everybody into your community, because I know through my journey, like it was super lonely. And I was just like, oh my God, where do I even find people? But slowly, after I had kind of done enough of my own work, the universe is like, okay, I think you're not a hot mess anymore. Now that you've sort of put yourself a little bit together, we can start to connect you with people so that you can kind of move forward in your journey. And I remember that was something that you said to me too, where I was, struggling with some things. You're like, Nita, this community is always there for you. And that was so huge because, there are times when it's incredibly lonely and you have no support system. So I think it's so valuable to know that you are truly never alone, and that there's so many communities. And thanks to social media, as much as some days I'm like, oh my God, social media, there's some really beautiful things about it. And there's so many communities, whether, like you said, Sheri, it's TikTok for you, it's Instagram, it's Facebook, it's Telegram. Like go find people, because everybody needs a little bit of support, especially in the beginning, because that's just kind of how the journey is. And but I think it's beautiful as you're like moving along, you start to connect with more souls that are sort of along the same journey, maybe a little bit further ahead, a little bit further behind, but it truly is what you're saying, Sheri, that we are all one. And I feel that everything is moving towards people doing things more in a community and creating together and co-creation. Like, to me, this is a co-creation with you, right? And so it's so beautiful. And I really feel like this is the energy moving forward. And not everyone's going to choose it, but that's okay. We've all come to make choices. We have free will, but it's nice to know that the options exist and that there are communities open for us. So love that message.
If I can just tag off something that you had said there, You said it got really lonely.
Yes.
So even just this message, and I went through it too. If it feels like you are alone and it's kind of like, I don't resonate with these people anymore, it's okay to let them go. Like we all have to go through that in a sense, right? Because they're not on the same path as you, but they could be ready soon. So one thing to keep in mind is as you go through this and you feel that loneliness, just remember that as you raise up, raise your vibration, raise your awareness, raise everything about yourself, these people who don't resonate right now need to fall away, right? It doesn't mean they're not coming back. It's just they have to start that kickstart of their journey first. And as you rise, they'll rise up to meet you. So even if you're going through that struggle right now with your family or your friends, and it's like you feel like you don't fit in or you're being pushed out, it's okay. It is okay. It sucks. It hurts. But just know that as you raise up, they'll have to rise to meet you and you'll see it. You will. I've seen so many people rise up to meet me. I got rid of all of my Facebook friends except 4 when I started my journey. And it was lonely, but it's interesting to see, oh my gosh, I saw you and you're doing this and it is so amazing. And I'm just like, thanks. Right. It's kind of like, wow, interesting. Like you're seeing the new, like my true version of myself.
Yes.
So just know that you're not alone in that.
Yes, I agree so much with that. And I think, for me, one of the things, and this, it's going to be different for everybody, I would take the initiative and I would actually create like little groups and I would find people. And so that really helped me. And there's, a group that I'm still connected to. And we've literally like journeyed together these 2 years and we're going to go on a trip together. Like, I was like, what? This is kind of crazy that I would just, meet these people online. But it's just, if you allow for it and you create these things, there's just so much wonderful stuff that can come out of it. But I 100% agree with you, Sheri. And I think it is hard because some of these relationships are so close to us that it's so hard to let go. But that is part of the journey, to be able to slowly let go, knowing that it's not a permanent thing. Some of them could be, but a lot of times they are going to connect back with us, but you have to move forward and focus on the work that you need to do because it's really important. Everybody's important and we're all here for a reason. And, the more we heal ourselves and shine our light and do the high vibrational energy out, the more it ripples out into the universe for everyone. So
absolutely. And the universe is always supporting you. Don't ever think that you're not supported. You are a million times over. It could be the worst situation of your life and they're still there. You just have to ask for help.
Love that. Oh my goodness. So beautiful. Well, this was such a amazing session, Sheri. I enjoyed our conversation so much. We touched on a ton of things. So there's so much meat in this conversation. Like people are literally going to have to listen to this a few times. So, but I just wanted to thank you again so much, Sheri, and for everything that you do and, for being part of my life. I'm so grateful to be connected to you. And for everyone, who's listening to this, whether when it's, first released or on the replay, all of Sheri's information will be in the description so you can all connect with her and find her and be part of her community. And just sending out so much love to everyone. You are all here for a purpose. You're all so important and so loved. And, just want to make sure that everything that we're putting out together in the universe is to help to elevate people to their highest potential.
And thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun. And sign up, subscribe. Like you don't want to miss any of her stuff. She just comes from such a pure heart and, she leads by example as well. So just remember that, right? It's time for us to share. There's no jealousy in sharing things, right? There's no competition. So I'm definitely going to shove this on my pages so that everyone can see her and reach out. If she resonates with you, I hope she accepts you and brings you on as a guest on her show because it's truly authentic. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheri. I love you so much. And with that, we wrap up this session and see you all next time.